All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, recently, Seattle Seahawks quarterback Russell Wilson has been critical about getting hit too much, as well as wanting more of a say in the team's personnel decisions. Now, in Wilson's 9-year NFL career, he has been sacked 394 times. However, I am not going to go out there and throw a pity party for him. Wilson, when he was drafted by the Seahawks in 2012, was the last piece of the puzzle for Seattle to get their Super Bowl championship. And of course, in his second year under center, the Seahawks did just that as they won their first and only Super Bowl title in franchise history. Now, following Wilson's rookie contract, he has always been among the highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL. And in the era of the salary cap in the NFL, a quarterback with a high salary typically makes it tough for a team's front office to replace or keep the talent around him. Now, the Seahawks won their Super Bowl. Wilson was on that roster, and he did have a part in it, but also they did win because of running back Marshawn Lynch as well as that defense. And when we saw those players get older or get released or traded, the Seahawks have never really been able to replace that talent. Now, don't get me wrong, Wilson is good. He's 98-45-1 as a starter in the regular season, and he's 9-7 in the postseason. He also is an 8-time Pro Bowl selection. But as good as Russell Wilson is, he is not one of those players that have the ability to have the people around him on offense elevate their game to the next level. And we're seeing it more and more with teams when they give these quarterbacks these big contracts. It takes away from what they have around them. And, one guy cannot do it by himself. Obviously, you need talent. And it's one of those things, like my slogan is, when it comes to the quarterbacks in the NFL, do you want to win or do you want to get paid? Because if you're going to get that deal that's getting you 35, 40, 45, and even $50 million a year, guess what? You're not going to have a quality offensive line in front of you. You're not going to have a defense that's going to be able to go out there and stop guys consistently. And if you look at the Seahawks defense this past season, they really weren't that good. And I know that they made the trade. They went out there, they acquired safety Jamal Adams from the New York Jets. He played a lot around the line of scrimmage for a safety, but that opened things up in their passing game. The Seahawks really weren't ferocious on their defensive line like we've seen them in years past. And, that was probably a big reason why they were one and done in the postseason this season. So, you look at it and I say again, go back and look at Seattle's title team. And go back and look at Super Bowl 48 when the Seahawks defeated the Denver Broncos. Basically, Russell Wilson didn't have to go out there and win the game. Why? Because he could hand the football off to Marshawn Lynch. And you look at that way that the defense dominated the Denver Broncos. Now you go ahead to Super Bowl 49. The Seahawks had an opportunity to be the first team since the New England Patriots in 2004 to repeat as Super Bowl champions. And what happened? They got greedy. Marshawn Lynch could have gotten you that 1 yard for the touchdown. Instead, they tried to pass it. Malcolm Butler intercepted Russell Wilson. And of course, the rest is history. Also, we're seeing more star players in the NFL attempting to follow suit, especially at the quarterback position. They're attempting to follow suit from the players in the NBA as far as, looking for more of a partnership with team owners, with team general managers, and having more of a say in personnel decisions. And it sounds good, but honestly, it's not going to work because I really don't see a situation or a scenario where the NFL team owners or these front offices are really going to give quarterbacks on a whole more leeway to have some type of say in personnel decisions as far as the workings of the team and the roster. You look at it right now, the Seahawks, their success has been predicated on drafting quality players. And the Seahawks have drafted quality players under head coach Pete Carroll. However, right now on defense, they don't have the impact players at each level like they did when they won their title. I mean, you looked at that defensive line, the likes of Chris Clemens and Michael Bennett on that defensive line. At linebacker, of course, you still have Bobby Wagner there and KJ Wright. They are a little bit older, but they can still get it done. But that back end, that secondary, you have arguably at least two players that are going to end up in the Hall of Fame. I'm talking about Cam Chancellor, Earl Thomas, and Richard Sherman, which, they helped to form the Legion of Boom. And that secondary really shut down a lot of teams. And that defense as a whole really shut down a lot of teams. And it made Russell Wilson's job that much easier. Now they don't have that defense. And whereas Seattle really only needed Russell Wilson to go out there and maybe score 24 points a game in order to win, now it's 35. And that brings me back to my point that I said earlier in this podcast. Russell Wilson, as good as he is, he simply does not have the ability to have the people around him elevate their games to the next level. So I think at the end of the day, what Russ has to do is this. He's got to sit back and look and say, hey, you know what? I'm getting paid. I'm getting fat. But you know what? If you want to help this team out, if you want to put that quality team around you, maybe sit back and try to restructure your deal. Maybe take a pay cut in order to make it work. I mean, you look at Russ's contracts over the years. Of course, he has a base salary for 2021 of $19 million, a signing bonus of $13 million, and a cap hit of $32 million. So, I mean, if Russ, how bad do you want to win? That's what it comes down to. So don't go complaining to the media. Don't go griping about, I want this, I want that. At some point, you got to look in the mirror and you got to look at yourself and say, what can I do to make things better? And instead of playing the woe is me, they're not doing this for me, they're not doing that for me scenario in the media. I look at it like this. I think cooler heads will prevail with the Seahawks and with Russell Wilson. I obviously don't think he's going anyplace. The way things look, he'll probably finish his career playing wise in the Pacific Northwest. But with that said, this right here is the problem that I've said for the longest time. When these quarterbacks want these big contracts, it takes away from the team that they can have around them. And I put the question out there all the time. Do you want to win or do you want to get paid? You cannot have your cake and eat it too. Because if you're going to take the big deal, you're not going to have the quality team around you. Now, if you take less money, your chances of having a quality championship team around you increase. Just ask Drew Brees. Drew Brees took all of that money several years ago from the New Orleans Saints. He put up big numbers, but guess what? The Saints were going 7-9, 8-8 each year. And it took them a while to get some talent on the defensive side of the ball before they were able to get back to the postseason and once again be a factor. Still haven't won that second elusive title. And in the case of Brees, it probably is not going to happen. But I'm just using him as an example. But like I say, when you take all of that bread, it comes with a price. So that price is you're not going to have that team around you. So Russell is sitting back and counting his millions. But guess what? He's not going to add any more championships to his resume. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you subscribers out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you are on Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There is also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. You can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin. Take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.